Ladies and gentlemen, it is another, and in fact the final, match of the Tribunal Stage for Acropolis number 3. ArbuzBudesh will take on Krankendau in what is the most tightly contested series by seeding that we can imagine. It was number 2 versus number 3. It was always going to be this way. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. Nebleim is joining me once again. How are you, sir?
I am good.
Good, good. How are you feeling about these two competitors? We got Arbuz down here in the bottom left. He seems to be rocking one of those funky, greenish colors. I'll say he's mint, and there he is. And in the top left, we've got Krankendau rocking maroon as his Zerg color. So far, perfect color guesses. That means we're on for a good series, and, we're on Mass Destruction, which is your favorite force bomb map, right?
Look, I hate Czech Steel more, if that's what you're asking.
There you go. There you go. Victory.
I'm full of hatred for maps. Unless they make bitty B, honestly, then I love them. That's basically the rule.
So you're a fan of Paradise and Blackwater Bastion,
Yeah, actually, I like those maps.
Okay, there you go.
You expected me to say no? I like those.
I know you like King of Valley,
Yeah, I love King of Valley, of course. Classic.
Shambler banned that, so of course he had to lose his series.
Yeah, that was his punishment. I wonder how similar this matchup will look, because the Zorkis style Jack was doing, I gather, is pretty much inspired by Crank. So I feel like Crank's going to do different stuff, but because the same stuff, but Arbuz going to do very different stuff. And Arbuz really wants to win here, because as I recall, he didn't even make it to battlements last time by a bit of an unfortunate twist of fate, yes?
So he got defeated by, who was it? Oh, damn. I thought it was Top Ramen who knocked him into the lower bracket for Gauntlet Stage A. But then he also was defeated in the 11th hour by somebody in the lower bracket there. He was in a lower
Cannoli,
qualification.
Was it?
No. This was in Gauntlet Stage A.
Oh, was it Jack?
It was for qualification, and Jack took the long route. He went through the second one.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm forgetting. I know our players who qualified from Gauntlet Stage A were Ramen, Hit 'em Up, Ayud, and Gerald Storm. So it must have been Gerald. It was Gerald Storm.
Oh, it was Gerald Storm.
So the same matchup, actually, as this one.
Yes, I knew it was a Zerg. That's why I thought it might have been Jack. So that's what I'm saying. Arbuz, I feel like, definitely thinks it's his rightful place to get back to battlements. He's probably not wrong. He's definitely one of the prominent Protoss players. But that's why he really wants to win here, not to have to go for Gauntlet again, I expect. Now,
Yep. And I don't know if he's even going to sign up for the Gauntlet Stage, to be honest with you, because coming into this match, I was like, man, he didn't sign up for the second Gauntlet. Does he want to give it another go? He's now coming in with some Legionnaires, but looks like it's only good for a little bit of dancing damage. He's not going to be able to break in. And there's already an Ovaleth out for Crank, which is abnormal.
I'm going to use that term, dancing damage. Yeah, is he coming with a K-Crit? No, he's just scouting. This is a big contrast to what we see of Jack. Jack just sitting back with his units, but Crank's been super active with the scouting, just want to see what's up, and it will pay off. Seeing the 4 gates, honestly, at this point, it's Arbuz's signature move. I feel kind of like my thunder is stolen, because I do this a lot, but Arbuz obviously is claiming it more than I ever could. Oh, he's putting the pressure. But yeah, I feel like Crank will pretty easily be able to hold it, just sit back, get his Zorkis units up. And what are you going to do with a bunch of Solid Ecclesiast against the Kissilisk, right?
I love that the Ovaleth is sitting here as well over the
oh my
high
god,
ground.
what is this? StarCraft 2?
This is a StarCraft 1 moment. StarCraft 2 with the Overlord Pillar, but StarCraft 1, this happens all the time. Mostly not versus Protoss, funnily enough. It's usually a ZVT move, because the Corsairs will come out and kill you, right? So you move them away pretty soon after. But obviously very different here. Yeah, he's going to see all those unit movements. That's really tricksy. And the Nexus is even within vision range as well, so he knows that there's an expand behind this.
Oh my god.
He can set that up. That's a killer spot on Mass Destruction for sure. And remember, Arbuz one of his favorite maps is that, right? And so, what's he going to do about that?
Well, again, I don't see him getting in here. I mean, he has a reasonable force, but when you realize that 4 of these are Legionnaires, it really takes a lot of the oomph out of it. If it was all Zealots, you never know. But again, this Circuit, right? Similar to what we saw Jack doing as well. The great adaptation really just makes him completely secure. And only 2 Ecclesiasts, there's no way. He needs to pull back when he sees that. Yeah, he does. Only loses 1 Legionnaire, which, to be honest, nothing of value was lost, so that's fine. But
wasn't even the wounded one, though. Come on now. He could have used the 7 HP one to scout ahead.
I am a fan of, after this point, you just kind of scatter them around the map like Zephyr calls them for bases, If you make a whole bunch, you can always run them in later and kill a bunch of stuff, but you need, a lot, 12.
Yeah, Krankendau face tanking with his Ovaleth. He's going to confirm the scout. All he's going to see here is, I don't even think he saw the Seedon, actually, although the vision range is pretty big, but now it's going to facilitate the move out, and this army was on a hold position. Krankendau, I think he might just get eviscerated here. The Zealot's trying their best to stay alive as long as possible, but goddamn, that's a lot of Lakers.
Yeah, this is
a lot
why
of Lakers damage, I should say.
Full gate isn't really a plan against these Dorcas openings, right? As soon as a couple of Achilles are out, I feel like your Ecclesias just become completely irrelevant. And yeah, it only takes 1 second of not paying attention and he just gets absolutely thrashed. He's got a couple Drax up here, but I don't know what it's going to do for him. I like this setting up the Sim City, but pure quads units to be really strong, but like all Crank needs to do is get the Lakiz in position. Oh, he's moving in.
Yeah, if his Zealot was fuller HP, I actually wouldn't have minded him going after that one burrowed Lakiz that was forward. If you thin the Lakiz count early, you can do a lot here. But that Zoryu's still at half health. There's another one coming in at full. And the Gateway will absorb a lot of this pressure, but they can just dive past it if they want to. No, it looks like Crank is going to sit here and fight around. There's detection from the Bulwark, so he can fight the Lakiz on even ground. This is going to work out a lot better for Arbuz than it initially looked. Still, he might end up suffering a little bit of pressure. His Ecclesias aren't actually fighting.
The Lakiz shot's getting spread a bit, so the Bulwark got like multiple healing.
Yeah.
It looks like he might barely hold, or I don't know, actually. It looks like maybe he won't. He was pretty close. I gotta say that Bulwark and Gateway got a lot more mileage than I would have thought defensively, but I think Crank's just breaking through here. Although he did opt to massively drone at home instead of sending reinforcements. But I don't think it matters. I still think he's just winning here.
Yeah, his force is not being cleaned, and now there's no detection for those Lakiz. I thought
that's right.
I thought that, realistically speaking, Arbuz should have been able to clean this up, but he's not really spreading his damage, or he is spreading his damage, rather. He's not focusing down individual Lakiz, so all of his Drax are so wounded after that.
He does stay stabilized, though. 10 workers behind. Not a good place to be against Zerg. Now, Crank has 4 lava production structures, which is probably enough that he's just going to shoot ahead in... what do you call it? Economy. And what does Arbuz have here? He has no tech. He doesn't even have an embassy for a witness. So what does he do from here?
He's very far behind. I think if he had stuffed that push a lot sooner, maybe a little bit better micro on the forward gate army, and then after that a little bit more dancing on the ramp would have potentially helped him out there. But SimCity definitely clutched him out, even though he might have microed a bit poorly on the defense. It still lets him kind of shore up that weakness and then kind of go forward. But yeah, there's 3 Lakiz ready to pop here.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. With no detection as well.
Yeah,
I mean, Drax on paper like are better against their kids because they can at least shoot them from range, but they can't very well run on top of them.
No, we saw that when he tried to do the push to finish off the Lakiz that were burrowed there. So he's going to go Embassy Arden inside his main base. The aversion that Protoss have to making one pylon really astounds me. This base is so much closer. I'm going to take a page out of your book, Nablime. Why are you putting your tech in your natural? What's going on?
This is a really bad spot to put it because units could come up from this back path, you know, and just like, oh, thanks, I'll take that.
Vertical spawns, you know. Nobody's using that, by the way, which is really funny.
Yeah. I really feel like Crank could like win the game, just sneak it in there, to be honest.
Yeah.
Look, about the other engagement, I feel like Arbuz did as well as he could really on the defense with such little units. It was really the fact that he lost his first attacking force so decisively. That was a big problem for him. Does this overlap have anything? No, it does not. He's continuing the scouting. I like that he's keeping an eye on things, but he has not seen the Ardent. So you know what? Actually, we are wrong. Arbuz is a genius. He knows Crank isn't going to use the back path, and he's never going to scout that spot. So Crank has no idea there's an Ardent. Although, does he need to know anything?
Well, I mean, look at his army. It's real big, you know? It's at over almost 60 combat units right
it's
now.
Like only Drax.
Is 13, yeah.
And
there's not much static defense here, right? He puts the Warden down near the Bulwark, but that's it. His Witness will come out just in time to see how screwed he is.
Yeah, that's it. You can see, there's like 8 Lakizlas there, okay.
Not going to be able to deal with that.
Against this, by the way, they cannot handle this comp at all. Then again, the SimCity is amazing. Letting them in a bit at the bottom, but yeah, the Zoryu's going to have a hard time getting on, but the Lakizlas don't care about buildings in the way. No. Oh my god, they just annihilated those Southern Drax.
Yeah, the first Acantor will finish up here pretty soon, but I don't think it's going to go very far. Rally point at least is set for the top left, so maybe he can try to mount some kind of defense, but the Lakiz are going to get hopped up onto those scribes in the mineral line, and then it's just a wrap, right?
Again.
The Acantor's getting sniped. The Acantor's getting Lakized. He's got to move it. He doesn't move it. Oh, well, I mean, it was over anyway, I think, with the reinforcements coming down. This game did not look particularly close. Crank is now up to 60 combat units, and Arbuz down to 2. GG.
Very scenic ending there, where like he kills the defense, and then the Zefs just instantly run in.
Yeah, he had everything planned up. That was a cinematic execution for Krankendau there. So... yeah, I mean, Arbuz, he's up against some tough stuff for that kind of build order, but early days in the series, we are going to go to not his favorite map, right? This is Brainstorm, and okay, I have a little bit of inside baseball that I'll save for when we actually get in, so let's get into it. And here we are on beautiful Brainstorm. It's raining intellect, Neblime, and our players are here for it. ArbuzBudesh and Krankendau. There's some inside baseball I was going to tell you guys about, and that is that Krankendau wanted to ban this map. So he's not happy about accidentally picking it. So there you go.
Oh.
He doesn't actually want to play on this, and Arbuz thinks it's pretty good for Zerg, so there you go.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I think Brainstorm is a good name for it, because, brain freeze. Yep, I feel like when I look at this map, I undergo a brainstorm. I just go like,
you get so angry, yeah. Well, so we know what Neblim's going to be banning in his series, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't avoid maps and battlements. You can't avoid
if you're preparing for a series versus Neblim, don't practice on Brainstorm or Check Stealer. You can save a lot of time.
There you go. Unless they pick one of those maps, whatever one you don't ban,
Yeah, I guess so. I'm really giving away my weaknesses here.
Let's think about it from a more almost like first principles standpoint here. Would you say that versus Zerg, you would always ban Brainstorm first, versus the other races you'd be banning Check Stealer, or what would you say?
Yeah, I guess if I think about it, Check Stealer is fine versus Zerg as far as it goes. It just doesn't suit my playstyle.
It's not necessarily a good thing. It's just like, which one do you hate less? If you're picking between lesser of two evils, I would think you would ban Brainstorm first versus Zerg, and then Check Stealer first versus others. Because versus Protoss or versus Terran, I don't think Brainstorm is as bad, right? Comparatively. Whether you like playing on the map is different, but I just mean like overall, right?
Look, versus Protoss, I don't really care what map, obviously, because it's a mirror. I'm probably just going to try and lean towards macro maps, but that's fine. If we play PvP on Brainstorm, that's okay. But yeah, I feel like the problem is Check Stealer is more my personal problem. Not that I think it's a good map, mind you, but I don't think it's as imbalanced per se. It's just super painful to play on. This map, however, I think is painful and imbalanced, so I would always ban it first.
There you go. Now, before we get into all of that and what's happening over here, I did want to ask, did you see that Check Stealer got changed? Did you see the...
I saw that it got changed, but I have no idea what the changes are. Tell me.
Okay, so 12 and 6 are high ground with a path into them now. And
see, here's what I said to Biddy B when he asked me if I saw the changes. If they change the bases outside the first three, it doesn't matter.
Interesting.
Because that doesn't really fundamentally affect the problems I have with the map.
Okay. Well... We'll see if Arbuz has any more problems versus Crank, because he's going Lattice this time.
He does so far. Big problems. Or maybe small problems.
Small, tiny Zephyrcore size.
Where could it have gone? You don't know where it is.
No, I don't. I forgot it. Oh, there you go. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the Vassal will come in and get some heckling done at the very least. Maybe force some burrow micro.
There's just a scout, I guess. Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah. He's just scouting, and the Quas are there. But he does see the Zorkas, and that was so slow. He definitely had time to click on it and see what it was. So
well, hang on a minute. Haven't we seen this before? Mass Lattice versus Zorkis? I don't know, man. I mean, it's good that Crank is like switching gears from Mass Gate.
He's making a Nexus, so it's completely different.
Okay, nothing like Shambler's play, of course,
That's
but
right.
He's still gonna have the same army comp.
He's making manifolds. He really is doing something different.
Okay, look, manifold's good. Don't get me wrong, but do they deal with Lakizalis? That's the fundamental problem you have here.
Yeah.
Golems are good, but you're gonna need an awful lot of them, and it is so hard to afford high numbers of golems early in the game.
I think Manifold Idol deals with both Zorius and Gorg way better, but the Lakers are going to be
both of those are terrible against Lakers.
Yes,
that's the problem.
So I think what he's probably going to want is a frontline bulwark so that he can have some detection.
I think that's the plan.
And then he doesn't need to work on the. It's a little bit further back. I think you can siege part of the space here with that, but the Nexus will be done, so it'll at least be powered. That being said. What I'm mostly getting at here, looking at this particular setup, is that there's no need for the embassy, so he can go for some other tech or whatever, and then he can use the cheap lattice units as like the in-between. With the Warden coming up, I mean, he's definitely going to be safe. I just don't know if he can develop into a position to deal with that big flood that we saw in Mass Destruction.
Well, hang on. If you put Elixilis right in the choke there, can he hit the mineral line? I think it can.
Maybe just barely, but you can also see that with the bulwark, so...
True. I guess Idols could actually probably just snipe it. Then again, what if you stack like 15 in one spot? What is going on with this? He even hit it. Like, what's going on with this K-Grid? He like attacked it for being lazy. Why is he not morphing it? I guess that was the safety one for the Circuit, like we saw in that other game. So I can't really knock it.
That's probably what it is. It's towards the choke. This one's really hard to actually choke towards, right? Because you can't really. You have to spread like double, triple K-Grid or whatever to get there.
Yeah, man. Almost like this map has problems, man. I don't know. It's a bit rough for everyone.
Zerg are fine.
But I like the defensive position so far. And you know what? That Matrix is in a good position as well to stop any shenanigans from the choke. So yeah, Arbuz looking defensive, but what is his next move, right? Because if you're staying on two bases, Zerg will of course be scaling you eventually. I mean, Crank has been a little bit behind with this expansion. So far so good for Protoss. And I feel like the ball is in Arbuz's court. We've got to see what he's going to try and do here. Because I think Crank is locked into just kind of echoing up on these two bases.
He kind of has to, right? He's making the 7 Droleths, so he'll be fine on the economics. Another vassal lingering, just in case it needs to rescout. But I'm not actually sure Arbuz is aware of the natural expansion. I think he may have flown over it at one point. And now that third Kagran is going to turn into a Larvosk, finally done being a deadbeat dad. And the Ardent is on the way, so this Ardent will be in the main base. I almost feel like that's actually not where you want it on this map, funnily enough, because it's so far away from the rest of the
make up your mind, Prodongo. Do you want it in the natural or the main?
I want a pylon, Neblime. I want a fucking pylon.
He built one. He built one of the natural, see?
Yeah, that's not where the Ardent goes, though. What are you, not everything you hate? Suggesting it goes there?
Look, man, when I'm casting, I'm going to just be like, yeah, well, I'm going to defend the things I would never do.
Okay, I see. Well, that makes sense, because you're still competing.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll only get truly honest Neblime commentary when he has to retire because all the Koreans started playing.
I mean, you think that's what it's going to take? We'll see it. We'll see how I go this time, man. You never know.
That's right.
I could get knocked out in battlements.
I couldn't imagine that. Even though Ayud got to you in the opening, and I guess also in the closing, you still managed to defeat Top Ramen 3-0.
Right, it started and ended with Ayud.
I know, yeah.
Damage to me.
It's too bad he also took Mystery Meat out of the picture in the qualifiers, and then the second gauntlet did not have him or Arbuz. So sad.
Yeah, I mean, Mystery Meat, I gotta say, is kind of my kryptonite as well. Even though he hasn't played for a while, I feel like his playstyle still kind of handles me somehow.
It would be really epic to get that rematch and actually see him take some games, you know, like have him be good. That would be awesome.
I mean, I want blood. I want the win. I mean, of course I beat him in a series, but I haven't, like, you know, beat him sort of in the tournament, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, so I want him to come just so I can prove myself. I feel like a lot of the players who are around in Mystery Meat's day want that.
Sure, yeah. Big fan of the meat.
Yeah.
Third base coming for Arbuz, and it will be scouted by that one Zeth, so...
Run! He's gonna make it.
Saved. But here comes the flood, right? And so Crank is having a fun time trying to put Lakers and Zorius through that little hole.
I was going to say, this doesn't look so bad, but then I looked, it's like, what, 50 units to 27? That does seem bad, especially with these Hydras. Oh, he gets that witness too. I mean, look, this is not too bad to defend. If Arbuz gets up on the high ground and, like, has the Acantor in position, I guess this looks possible. And you know what? Crank's playing very defensively. In fact, he's going to come in and harass, although Crank's kind of ready, man. He's got the static defense everywhere.
He does, and it looks like the Acantor will go before the static defense finishes up over here.
It might be bad timing, actually. If they finish just now, he's going to not be able to pick that up, man. Uh-oh.
He's waiting, and he's grabbing it.
Whoa! Okay.
Saved.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, sprays are really good, so you got to watch out for that. He can go after some Larvosks, though, at the very least. And he should.
Oh, one quads. Ooh, we got one quads. Oh, two quads.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess this is annoying, but I feel like Crank will be able to respond. In fact, his army's in the natural. I don't know what he's doing right now. Getting blocked by pathing, I think.
Yep,
okay,
he's having a good time. Yeah. Oh, the Lakers can fit through there. The more you know.
Yeah, 100%. You know what can't?
Golems?
Is that right?
Golems can move. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I think golems can. I was going to say pariahs. Because that's a big issue I've had.
No wonder you don't like this map.
Last time. Yeah.
But look, the temple has a power field now, Blum. You could proxy.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I've got to figure that out. We've been for people watching this later. This was like in the Discord this same day we casted this. It's like people talking about doing proxies, and I'm like, I don't think so.
Well, you know, Dog suggested proxy double Arden all in. So.
Oh my god, he's coming out. Arbuz is coming out here. Oh, I don't know. This is very dicey, but Crank is moving away. If he just borrows them, because he's going to like instantly delete those idols.
Yeah, he's got double Acantor, and there's still no witness with this army, right? The first one got destroyed, so... Oh, never mind, there it is. It actually escapes narrowly.
This is a highly formidable army from Crank. He's got all the tier 1 stuff, except like skiffs, I guess. He does even have dwarves hanging around in there.
Yeah, no Borgs, no skiths, but no need for him, really. The flyers are not the real chief threat here. It's so interesting, because this is where the styles differ, right? Like, Jack will always go for those air units. Crank, though, is sticking to the ground right now.
I have seen him use Gorks a lot before. I'm not sure why he's not right now. Well, we can't be dropping in here. He's going to lose his envoys. Oh, no, one's almost dead. And now the army's going to be isolated without the support. It's going to be very difficult to get these back in position in time. Losing a lot of lattice units already to the back.
Yeah, well, his one Acantor is still in there getting some good damage.
Oh,
so
he doesn't need rescue.
Yeah, you know, you're locked in here with me. A single Zorius will be dispatched. That'll eventually be taken out.
Is that how that works?
There's no hope for that one.
Yeah, okay, wow. He's still going. Someone deal with this man. Oh my god.
He's got vision. One salvo on the side.
Okay, there it is.
And another. We get one Zeth on the way out.
Still, I would say this did not work out for Arbuz. I mean, yeah, he got a bunch of drawless, but that doesn't really matter for Zerg.
Well, he's replaced them already.
and then some, you know. You're just reminding Zerg to make workers.
Yeah,
I feel like it is the case that worker harass doesn't really mean much after a certain point in this matchup unless you kill like all of them. And now his defenses are a lot weaker. Whereas he's got the one Cantor that is not dropped, but it looks like Crank wants to go in for attack. And these lattice units are so clustered, so vulnerable to Kiss List and back to list. A lot of damage coming in. He drops their Cantor really far back. The idols are basically all gone already. Oh, I think Crank's going to smash through here. No contest.
Yeah, he needed that second Acantor at the very least to try to hold this off and maybe dance back and forth. The flank is, in theory, okay, but there's no damage from it. Another Acantor trying to get through. Oh, no, he's choked up by the Acantor. There you go.
I mean,
now, this can be really deadly if the attack comes in through there, and now the treasuries are kind of working against Crank in this spot.
A few seconds until those fall.
And
although the Kislers have the range, they can hit that Nexus, man.
Yeah, he's worried about the scribe hits, but that actually hasn't been happening. It's just the lake is attacking the Nexus.
Well, it's not like he needs minerals right now, so fair enough.
Yeah, he's got plenty of cash in the bank. 2 prostration stages finishing up, so he'll be able to maybe go for something like that. Frontlining with the envoys, there's nothing in them. It's all a bait. Slow walking again.
They are kind of good at that sometimes, but yeah. No, there's so much Zerg here. No, anything that's in that spot is just getting decimated. The Acantor is lasting like 2 seconds. He does pull one back. They're going to get good damage back here, but I mean, I feel like there's enough. He's just moving right on top of them. Burrowing right in their
he's got so many Hydras. If there were 3 more Acantors, that would be a very different story. And in fact, that's actually about how many he lost in the early stages of the game. But, you know, he obviously traded them for damage, right? And so that also factors in. 1 Zeth killing top left workers. GG. Krankendau will get to a 2-0 start here, and he's looking formidable with a similar style, but different enough from Jack that I don't think Arbuz could get much prep done by playing him.
This is all the rage now with this Zorkiz-centric style.
Yeah. I think Arbuz made it a lot closer, obviously, in that game compared to Mass Destruction. So I'm interested in seeing if he can extend the series. We've seen a lot of almost reverse sweeps where, you know, it goes 5 games and then the guy who won the first 2 finally seals the deal. Smarty over Kasuga, Shambler over Dog. So it could still happen here as well. We'll go to game 3 and see what happens on Radium. And here we are, ArbuzBudesh versus Krankendau. It's Radium. Bottom versus top yet again, just like Brainstorm. So familiar angle of attack. But Nebleim has some strong thoughts here. He's predicting a scoreline. Will you share that with us?
I am predicting a scoreline, man. Look, here's what it comes down to. Here's what these Protosses are doing wrong. They're making scribes. There's a secret. You don't have to make scribes. You can just make a building immediately. It's pretty good sometimes. But Arbuz is making scribes. I feel like if he makes scribes, he makes units. It's going to look all right for a while, but then Crank will be like, well, you made units, I made the Kissalisks, and then just spinal over him. It'll be over. He's making a gateway. It is still a 2-player map, right? The 4-player maps have not had much of a showing, except the first game, but it was like, you know, just this close vertical spawn, pretty fast game as well.
Yes, yeah. Pretty quick escalation here. Krankendau seems like he's at his strongest in the first, like, 10-15 minutes of the game. And so if you can stay alive long enough, but also still actually be in a living position, I do think that changes things, right? I think if Arbuz were to somehow take like that 3rd, 4th base like he did on Brainstorm, but actually stay alive during that, riposte the attacks, extend play, develop his tech. He had the prostration stages coming. It was a very different look there. I think overall, I would put that as Crank, you know, not necessarily as favored, right? That's like the key detail there. I do think Arbuz is also somebody who might fall off a little bit at that stage.
Yeah, that's
but
what
like
I was going to say.
I think Protos's armies and movements are a little bit easier once they have all of their pieces together than compared to Zerg, which does require that flanking even in the later stages. It's really hard to get into a position as Zerg, unless you're super far ahead, where you're assembling a comp that can just be A-moved kind of blindly. You know, after the first few minutes where you know, even then you're just doing the Lakers micro, but obviously that's easier to do in some ways than the Protoss micro at the same time frame. But you know what I mean, right? It's like the demands increase with time, and I think in theory Arbuz would win out at that point. But he's got to get there first.
Well, I agree with you that Zerg has a lot of demands on them later in the game, but I also feel like Zerg just has the advantage the later the game goes. So there's like the 2 ways to look at StarCraft, right? Is like on paper who's stronger, and then like, you know, the stuff you actually have to do like mechanics wise. But I think it's both are true that like Zerg is like very happy to be like, all right, it's going to be a 30-minute game, and also Zerg has to do a lot the longer the game goes as well, though. But look, I feel like we were saying, I think Arbuz also is more of like an early game player, and I have to say he's not had a lot of great late game performances. So nice micro here, by the way. That was really well done. I feel like Krankendau is going to be stronger if the game goes longer. And look, with last game, we had Crank had his chance to be like, all right, the early game went fine for him, even went well for him, I would say. And he's like, all right, you get the choice of what tier 2 tech to bring. And he bought the Acantors, did not work out. So either we have to see a different choice this game, or he's going to go about it a different way. Now, these Legionnaires I don't like at all, by the way, because already we saw that Crank was doing the opening to deflect them. Obviously, you've got to try and guess if your opponent's going to do something greedy, so I guess I can't begrudge him trying, but it is not going to give him any advantage here. And it's not looking good for Crank so far. I'm sorry, for Arbuz so far. He's probably going to set up similarly, but instead of Lattice this time, it's just Gateway. It might be easier for Crank to counterattack on this map as well.
Yeah, I mean, the whole middle of the map is very open in this low ground area, and so that also factors into it. I do like the Legionnaires spotting for the Zerg and seeing, you know, when are they moving out? Are they taking their natural? One thing that's worth noting, Krankendau might have put the pieces together based on the buildings in the main that there was a Nexus coming, but the Zeth's vision range is too small to see it where the path he took in to get into the main base. So he actually doesn't know 100% that the Nexus is there. Which might end up being an interesting little bit of decision-making for Crank, because if he thinks it's a one-base, two-gate into tech, that's a very different response required than one-gate or two-gate expand, right? So that's a completely different thing.
He's playing very defensive, by the way. Maybe he's just hedging against a 4-gate. I would have thought that with there's Zeph in there, he would have like realized like, oh, there's no more gates yet. But it looks like he's really preparing for an attack, or maybe an attack of his own, actually, is what he's actually doing. These Legionnaires cannot do anything here. They will get absolutely splattered. I think Arbuz knows that. But I think Crank's just going to go for it by the looks of it.
Yeah, the Gateway's here for the Sim City. Pylon, I love to see. We don't see Pylon enough.
Well, this is one of the ways Arbuz can win. If Crank just goes for an all-out attack, Arbuz just has to hold, and he's looking pretty good. He does see the defenses. I wonder if this will make Crank just expand instead.
Right. I mean, he's investing a lot into the attack, but is it safe to actually push in there? There's the detection with the bulwark.
The embassy there. What are you
doing?
I mean,
it's Sim City, I guess, but yeah, that's not going to be too good. I do wonder if maybe, like, this is always the tension for, we were talking about how, comparing it to, like, you scout with your Corsair in StarCraft 1 PvZ, and before that you scout with your probe. It's like, you look at the situation with the embassy, and it does affect your scouting. You get a witness from that. That's the observer from StarCraft 1. Okay, you can scout now. That's a lot better. And he's doing good denial on scouting with the Legionnaires. He wasn't doing that the entire time, but it was pretty good overall. Now the Ovaleth getting in for the full scout for Crank obviously poses a bit of a problem, but overall you look at this and you think, okay, like Arbuz is at the very least in some good standing. He needs to scout, but he also needs tech, and the embassy does delay the tech. He needs some way of controlling the battlefield here. And that's not something that is immediately present.
Well, I think it's fine to say, if he just stays on 2 base and defends on 2 base, again, we're in a similar situation to the last game where he has like a sort of breathing room to commit to some kind of tier 2 tech. So I think that's an okay choice. I just resent putting it forward. Look, by the way, I have to call out Crank, by the way, just before he went up to like 500 APM. I have no idea what he was doing, but simultaneously hit like 400 minerals. So Crank, what are you doing? I'm calling you out. So
he can float. It's fine.
Yeah, the lava we're building up. By the way, Stargate coming up here. It's the Overlord sees it as it's built though. So I don't know, pretty easy to deal with. Oh, he cancelled one of them. Interesting. You know, I have been thinking about this. You keep one and you just go land effect. Because no matter what your opponent made, land effect is still kind of useful, and you do just always need insurance against your units all times in the game. That said, I don't know what the thing you're making other than Stargate is. Like, okay, land effect.
What are you going alongside it? Yeah. If it's just Gateway Army and it's only off of 3 gate, it's not going to be particularly impressive in size. The Legionnaires have come back in to the army, and that is going to bolster it a little bit, but that's 20 combat units, and one of them is a witness, and 3 of them are Legionnaires, right?
Oh, man.
4.
He's expanding again. I don't know about this. I feel like
it's pretty ballsy.
This Crank just like is finished droning, he just comes across a 2 base attack, and like there's no way to hold that. Oh, it's going to be tier 3. That's what he's thinking. Okay, so he just kept the 1 Stargate just to get the tech requirement.
Oh, I like
now
that.
That it had been scouted. Yeah. Now,
and there it is, Lan effect. You know, he queued up a Gladius for a second, canceled it for Lan effect. So you are right that he's going the 1 Stargate Lanny, and then he's going to go for the Unitary Union. Now, if he gets enough Vibrances out, he can deal with the front line. The Lakers aren't going to be as useful. I guess maybe he might also be thinking about Architect. I feel like that requires more of a meaty front line than he's got, though.
You need a lot of architects. You just need like a really big army in general for that to work.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just overwhelms you. I feel like in the super late game, they're going to be very good against ground. But I feel like when you first get the Unitary, they're not the pick. One Vibrance definitely can do a lot. And you know what? There isn't really any detection. So I'm wondering if, the Vibrance could kind of sneak in and end the game. But he does have to survive. Now, is there a number of Lakislys you can get where Vibrance just stop working? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I think, honestly, it might already be achieved with the number that Crank has. If you think about one Vibrance and its limited area of effect, it's only worth 5 range.
A lot of naps, and he's already got 1 land effect at least. Well, they're going around the natural. There's some defenses there. Like, as long as the land effects aren't well out of position, I feel like this is pretty good for Arbuz because he's going to throw away a lot of gas with those naps, maybe.
Yeah, Bulwark Engram, I think he needs a little bit more SimCity at the third base, but it might not matter as Krankendau's basically setting up here to attack in from the other side. Now, this is seen by Arbuz the whole way through based on that witness. So what's he going to do about it?
Oh, I don't know if he should commit. He needs to pull back. Or the Zealots will disappear in seconds. Oh, they're gone. It's over. The blood effect's coming in trying to de-web, but they get eaten by the naps. They don't stop that anymore. Pronogo, wasn't I calling that this exact thing would happen? Oh.
But Arbuz didn't read the patch notes, Nablime. The Bulwark is still here. Yeah, the Matrixes are here. The Wardens are here. What else do we got? I mean, he wanted to disable the Lycus just for a little bit of time so his front line could stay alive, but they were already half dead when the committal happened. The third base is still working, and it's still got defense, and maybe we can even still see Arbuz do something here. His unit out of the Unitary Union is the Unar, not the Vibrance. So, I mean, at that point, I guess it makes sense because actually the Unar will do damage and the Vibrance will just shield nothing because nobody else is alive. But still, you're like, whoa, what's going on here? So, he can attack it. You can try to range down the Lakers, but he still needs a front line of some sort. Making Exemplar, 2 more gateways.
I'm amazed how many workers he still has after losing so many. He's going to come in near the unit. I mean, is it a good unit against this kind of comp? I'm starting to wonder. Because you do need pretty good single target damage sometimes, and you have the range. It is overkilling that Rilla Core to an absurd degree. Oh,
yeah,
man,
another one.
Is going to live?
Yeah. The targeting has been a little bit poor here. He needs to get rid of the units that are actually attacking it. The Quas won't be able to finish that. Yeah.
I shouldn't have called it so confidently. Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It was never going to die. Never in trouble.
Yeah, some of these scribes haven't been mining, and of course that's a big problem. He did evacuate a lot of them into the main base. He can send them out down there to resaturate the natural. But the third base has been taken by Crank. Meanwhile, his money obviously shooting through the roof.
There. Dude, he's almost stabilizing. I can't believe this. I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I kind of did too, and I think maybe Crank did as well. He was waiting for the GG, but it never came. Those 3 scribes need to get back to mining. He's ahead in workers, which is amazing. Not ahead in actual efficiency. Again, that natural not mining right now.
Well, he'll resaturate over time, I'm sure, if the scribes stop with their labor union strike.
Bulwark will regenerate the Nexus shielding. Very nice, very nice. Judic finally satisfied.
So yeah, he's going to be alive. You know what? I feel like we're kind of reset to the same situation. It's just like, all right, what now, Arbuz? What's your next move? I mean, I'm liking the Unar. It looks pretty good. He does need a lot of chaff to support
it, I think. Hydra count, dude. This is where a Cantors or Mass Architect or whatever would be good.
Hey,
Vibrances would melt to that amount.
A Cillians would actually be pretty good here, I think.
Yeah,
especially
true.
with no Lakers left.
Yeah,
because they can kite Hydras pretty well. They shoot and then just run back. Of course, they have to stick to shoot, but there's a lot of defense. Oh,
they have to shoot. They do need to do something here because the Bulwarks are going to get Dovin on the engrams will almost immediately erupt. The individual kills. The Unars will one-shot the Hydras at the very least, so there is that. Plus, they're stacking up their range passive massively. They're turning into artillery units, but as soon as those Hydras turn on them, there's not enough crowd control here. The Exemplar goes down. Third base starting to collapse. That pylon actually powering both of those gateways, so if that goes down, there's going to be even less units on the field for the Protoss. The Unar just getting Dovin on. It's going back to the Bulwark. Another one comes out.
Well, you can see the Unar's doing work, but unfortunately his army being caught out of position meant those engrams out instantly. And honestly, the SimCity was on the wrong side. It needed to be blocking that entrance, but it was kind of blocking where his army was. So once the engrams fell, I mean, the defense was kind of compromised. Man, there's
still even on workers almost, despite the fact that all of these workers are going down. And not only that, I mean, we do have more Hydras. That's why Crank is not ahead on workers. He's spending all of his money on combat. If Arbuz can only stay alive, it would be a different story. But now the Unars are getting collapsed upon by Mass Hydra, and I think Crank might have outlasted him.
Yeah, GG. I mean, interesting attempt with the Unitary, but it's not going to be enough. Crank's going to qualify into battlements.
Yeah. The Battlement Knights are chosen, and they are both Zerg. Jakulansky surprising everybody. Krankendau maybe not so much, although I will say I wasn't expecting a 3-0 here. I did think, even though Arbuz hadn't played PvC in the tourney, right? He did PvT, I think, versus Toyota. He did PvP against... oh, no, I think it was Crank versus Toyota, actually. So, a funny little trivia. Crank won and got into Battlements by doing ZVT, ZVZ, and now ZVP. So you play one of each match out there. So,
that's right. No one can say he has any weaknesses.
That's right. He's won everything. Now, I do think, though, that if Arbuz had stabilized in that last game, it would have been a completely different story. And I'm almost like, I'm left a little bit wanting more. Like, damn, I want to see those two players duke it out a little bit longer. Had Arbuz been able to hold, he would have had better economy, at least until his base has started to deplete. And he obviously would have had the tech. Like, if you're stabilizing, it's because your tech is still up. And so at that point, you can start to potentially win more and more cost efficiently. But Crank just had a little bit too much. That was the close. If every game was that close, that would have been a completely different story. But unfortunately for us viewers and also for Arbuz, he wasn't able to really get those adaptations in play until the final game of the series, at which point it was already series and qualification point for Krankendau. So congrats to him for getting in. He now doesn't have to play competitively until the 7th of June or whatever it is when we start things off in Battlements. So that's pretty hype for him. He can take a little bit of time off or he can keep playing, as he is wont to do. But Neblime, do you have any final thoughts for these two competitors? And of course, assuming Arbuz does, I think he did sign up for the gauntlet actually. So assuming he does end up participating, I'm sure he'll make it through, right? Like there's no way Arbuz doesn't make it to Battlement.
I mean, wouldn't we have said that last time? It depends on his availability, right? More than anything else. And no win is guaranteed. I mean, we had some crazy results last time as well. So, and also I want to point out, Hit 'em Up isn't Shark and Crew the Gauntlet killing people, so
that is a fair point. Yeah, he's already accepted his Battleman's invite, so that works out pretty well, I think.
Yeah, as far as Jack and Crank go, I am not as surprised as you are. I think it's been a long time coming for Jack. I mean, obviously he got a Battlements last time, but the fact he's looking so much stronger. And I think Crank's always been pretty strong. He didn't have the availability last time, is that right?
Yeah, he wasn't around like active in the community per se.
Yeah, he definitely would have been in. Look, it was when we had the sort of wave of new players like Newt, Crank, and then AUD. I was sort of terrified of all
Calypso,
of them.
yeah, you're thinking about
Calypso, right? They're all pretty terrifying. It's just AUD's the only one who hung around and showed up in Acropolis too. So now Crank's here as well. Look, man, I'm sweating after watching those games. I'm like, oh good lord, how am I going to pull this off?
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested in seeing where everything goes here. So shout out to Neblime for joining me, but also to our Krankendau here, our Zerg player, for qualifying. Gauntlet Stage A begins very, very soon, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a good time had by all. Yeah, and of course, Gauntlet Stage B the week after, assuming scheduling holds, which is actually a big assumption. We'll see about that. GG's, everybody. We'll be back soon for more Cosmo. I might not even get a chance to cast any casual games with how frequently we're getting these hype tournament matches, but you never know. You never know. So stay tuned.